Hey, it's Steve Hernandez here again. I'm a New Jersey DWI lawyer, and today we're going to talk about the 10-year step down. Now, this is one of the most misunderstood areas of DWI law. It is misunderstood by lawyers and by citizens more than any other aspect of DWI law. What is the 10-year step down or look back? Well, some people think that if you get a DWI and then you get another one after 10 years, that first DWI is forgiven. That is not the case. Rather, the law says that if you go 10 years between your first and your second, then your second will be treated as a first. And then, if your third is 10 years from your second, your third shall be treated as a second. That does not mean that those prior ones are forgiven. Now, let's go through a demonstration of how this works. So let's start with our first example. You get your first DWI on January 10th, 2010. Then you get a second DWI on January 8th, 2020. Unfortunately, you would not be eligible for a 10-year step down because you had not gone more than 10 years since your first DWI. In this case, you'd be treated as a second offense. Let's try another example. You get your first DWI on January 1st, 1989. But then you get your second DWI on February 2nd, 1999. In this case, you have gone more than 10 years since your first DWI, so you'd be treated as a first offender. Now let's complicate things a little bit. You get a third DWI on March 1st, 2009. Again, you've gone 10 years since your last DWI, since your second DWI. However, this will be treated as a second offense. You will never be treated as a first offender again. Now, unfortunately, 10 years later, you get another DWI in April 2019. It's been more than 10 years since your third DWI, which was treated as a second offense, but unfortunately, you never get a step down again, and it is treated as a third offense. So let's try one more example. Example 3, you get your first DWI on January 1st, 1989. You get your second DWI on February 2nd, 1999. In this case, you're treated as a first offense. You get another DWI on January 31st, 2009. In this case, you have not gone more than 10 years since your last DWI, and it is treated as a third offense, even though that second back in 1999 was treated as a first offense. So now that you know how the 10-year step down works, you know how it applies to your case. If you're in a situation where you have prior DWIs and you're not eligible for a 10-year step down, then you should definitely not just plead guilty to that third offense. You should fight it. And what we do is we may be able to go back and reopen up those prior DWIs. And if we're really lucky, we may be able to put you in a position where one of those prior DWIs just doesn't count at all against you. So, for example, if you're a third offender and we attack your first from 20 years ago and we're successful, you may be able to come out of here as a second offender. In some cases, we may be able to make it so that jail is off the table. And this is through something called a post-conviction relief application. If you've been charged with a third or fourth DWI or greater, and you're in need of a DWI lawyer to fight these charges and to reopen up your priors, give us a call. Thank you.